To all you social studies nerds, I've got a Civil War question for you. During the Civil War, where did Abraham Lincoln keep his armies? In his sleeveys. Boom! I'm an English teacher, so I bet you can't wait to hear what my two favorite letters of the alphabet are. I bet you can't wait. But before we do that, let's look at what we did last time. We finished reading and discussing Chapter 3, Call of the Wild, and analyzed how incidents in the chapter propel the action and reveal Buck's character, which is really interesting. So we talked last time about two different types of characters, right? What were they? Remember, you like turn on the TV, there's no station there, and you get what? Static, okay? Static. My writing is static because it is terrible in every video and it will never change. I have static writing technique. So a static character is a character that never changes or doesn't change very much over the course of a book, novel, or TV show, movie. On the other hand, we have another type of character. What is it? Dynamic, right? If you dye something, it changes color, right? Dynamic. Oh man, I need some dynamic handwriting classes with a mouse. Dynamic. So static and dynamic characters. Buck, we look at his character. We look at the way he's changed, okay? Think back to the very beginning of the novel. Buck is living in California on a gorgeous estate. He's got everything he needs. He's pampered. He's leading the comfortable life. It says that he eats in a dainty way. And we talked about dainties like little teacups, like my daughters drink their teacups. Buck was that kind of dog. Look at what he's doing now. He just orchestrated Spitz's overthrow and murder. So, what type of character is Buck? Is he static? Is he the same? Or is he dynamic? Is he changing a lot? Yeah, you got it. You got it. He's a dynamic character. Interesting guy. Spitz, what do you think? Spitz, dynamic or static? Once a jerk, always a jerk, right? Spitz is a static character. He's gone, so he's not changing at all. But he was always a jerk from the very beginning. Let's move on to the next slide. You can hear about my two favorite letters. You'll love them. All right, today we're going to analyze Buck's changing relationship with human characters in the text and how this impacts his ability to survive in the wild. We're going to gather relevant textual evidence to support a given claim. This is all fancy speak for saying we're going to find some evidence to support a claim or a thesis statement. Gee, Mr. Fairber, why would I have a thesis statement? Hey, maybe you can guess my two favorite letters of the alphabet. It's the letter S and the letter A. S, A. S, A, S, A, S, A. I'm just kidding. I mean, not today, but we're certainly planning for an essay. It's coming up soon, okay? So I want you to be ready for it so it's not all of a sudden. You're going to have a lot of practice today getting prepared for an essay. Here's what you need today. Call of the Wild by Jack London. You only need this for reference. You are not going to read it, any big portions of it. It's just there's reference if you need to go back and look up some things. Next, split page notes handouts from Blue Notebook. And again, referencing, that means just you have it there to look at it if you need it. You're not gaining brand new information, you're just referring back to information. So you refer back to it, which is why it's called reference. Pages 32 to 37. And finally, Blue Notebook page 38. We will be completing this new page. It's a single page today. We'll be working through this single page together. And it looks just like this little guy right here. This one, ugly circle. All right, So here's a prompt. Before we kind of like make a claim, which I'll walk you through, don't worry. Before we gather evidence, we need to know what the prompt is. So here's your prompt. What enables buck to survive and thrive in the wild? Okay. So the first thing I do with a prompt when I see it is I need to not just start writing. That's the worst thing you could do is just, oh, I'm going to answer it because I know the answer. Don't do that. Don't do it. We're going to attack the prompt, okay? And we attack the prompt by annotating it. So we're going to go ahead and annotate this. What enables buck? Let's see. Enables, this seems like a keyword. What enables buck to survive, okay, and thrive in the wild? These are my keywords, right? Enables. What's another word for enables? Well, I see the word able here. Ables. What enables buck? Maybe makes him able. What helps him maybe? So what helps buck? What enables buck to survive? I know what survive means. And thrive. I'm not sure what thrive means, so I might go look this up in the dictionary. We're not going to do that together, but if you really have a question, you can look up. But thrive is like very successful living. Okay, this is like you get a gold star for living. Surviving could mean like you're alive but barely alive, right? So survive, yeah, you're alive. You're alive. He's making it. Thrive, on the other hand, is like he's not just making it. He's making it really well. He's getting more food than everybody. He's leading the pack. He's chasing rabbits, and he's overthrowing his enemies. He's thriving. So, what enables buck to survive and thrive in the wild? I want you to just pause the video for a minute, and I want you to think about that question. Try to think of several things. And what you're going to do is go to the top of page 38 in your workbook. So page 38. And I want you to use this little top space right here. Just make a list off the top of your head. What are some things that make Buck able to not just survive, but to do very well in the wild? What is it about Buck that's special? What is it about his experience or the way he's acted that have made him able to survive in the wild? Okay? So, pause the video, page 38, brainstorm a couple of ideas up here at the top. What makes Buck able to survive and thrive in the wild? Pause it. All right, you got it? You did it? You got some ideas? I had some ideas. I was thinking, like, his ability to figure things out. Okay, that was one thing I thought of. His ability to figure things out. I also thought of his patience. His ability to wait for the right opportunity makes him able to thrive in the wild. I had a bunch of other ideas. I know you did too. Share them out with your partner, and then we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, so we have a prompt. Let me get my pen here. We have a prompt, which we've already looked at. What enables Buck to survive and thrive in the wild? I'm going to give you a claim, okay? And you could say claim. There's another word for this that I like a little bit better. We're going to call this the thesis statement. A thesis statement means we have an answer to an essay question. Whoo, thesis. Thesis, thesis statement. This is the same thing. Thesis statement equals claim. So it is simply the answer to this question. So this question is answered right here. What enables Buck to survive and thrive in the wild? Let me give you this one. Buck is able to survive in the wild because he changes the way in which he relates to man and other animals. I want you to notice something about this thesis statement. Those of you who are really strong writers, you'll probably recognize some of these as well. And even if you're not a strong writer, I think you'll be able to see it really quick here. This is similar to our other thesis statements we've been writing. So let me tell you this. I taught you guys how to write a thesis statement without ever having looked at this lesson months ago. Months ago, I taught you how to do that. And you've known how to do it for a while. I think what's interesting is we got this lesson given to us teachers, and we're kind of doing it like we do it, okay? This is exactly a perfect thesis statement, just the way I would write it. Okay, so this goes to show you this is a universal concept. This is the way people write English. If you do this in Tennessee, you'll be doing this in California. If you do it in California, you'll be doing it in Texas. If you do it in Texas, you'll be doing it in Michigan. Like, if you're writing an essay, this is the way a thesis statement looks, okay? So let's break it down. Look at the pieces here. Buck is able to survive in the wild. So what I love about this is right away, this word able. Because why do I like this word so much? Look back at the prompt. Why do I like this word able? That's right. It's using language from the prompt. What enables him? He's able. He's able to survive. There's this word survive. So it's almost like we're restating the question. We're not rewriting the question. You don't want to rewrite, you don't want to copy the whole question down, but you're restating it. You're saying it again in different words to answer it, so the reader knows what you're talking about. Buck is able to survive in the wild because, ooh, key word here, because. Because this is amazing. So I give reasons, right? I have an answer, like he's able to survive because, give 2 reasons. And do we have those 2 reasons? Yes, we do. He changes the way in which he relates to man and other animals. That's the, okay, you get it. So man, the first thing I'm looking at is how he relates to man. So this is my number 1 thing. And this is my number 2 thing. I apologize. I'll get better with the mouse one of these days. One of these days. So in my thesis, I've restated the question. I have a because answer. And I have 2 things I'm talking about. A first thing and a second thing. Why do I have 2 things? Because like in 8th grade, I'm just thinking, oh yes, body paragraphs, right? How many body paragraphs do I have? 2, just like here. So body paragraph 1, I already know from my thesis statement. Body paragraph 1 is going to be all about how he changes the way he relates to man. Body paragraph 2 is going to be about what? The other animals, how he relates to other animals. Great thesis statement. So I'm going to take all this off here. And let's look at another way of looking at this thesis statement. We have this claim or thesis statement is strong because of this acronym SODA, S-O-D-A. S-O-D-A. Is it specific? Does it answer this question? Yes, it's specific. Survive in the wild. The answer does not say yes, right? What enables Buck to survive in the wild? He chases rabbits. That's not the answer. This is very specific. This claim we have right here is very specific. Is it original? Yeah, that's a unique idea. I like that idea. He's able to change the way he relates to man and animals. Cool. Did Jack London ever say, Buck began to change the way he relates to man and animals? No, he never said that in the book, but you can see it. You can observe it. You go, oh, I think I see that. You can read into it. I like that. There's an inference there. So this is really good. Is it defensible? Defensible? What do you mean? I mean, is this a statement you can defend and argue and debate? So let's put debate here. The worst thing you could do is write an essay about something that everybody agrees on and there's no debate about. I'm going to write an essay proving that the sky is blue. I'm going to write an essay proving that America uses American money. It's like no one cares. There's no debate. There's no drama in that. So we like statements that have a little bit of drama. Somebody could read this. Buck is able to survive in the wild because he changes the way he relates to man and animal. And they might go, nah, I'm not seeing it. I think there's a better answer. And someone may go, yeah, but you know, this is pretty strong. It's when we get, yeah, but it wasn't so much that he changes the way he relates to man, it's that he taps into his ancient survival techniques. He taps into his ancestral memories. Oh, yeah, well, I disagree. So this is good. It's defensible. It's debatable. There's a reason to defend this statement. Is it arguable? This is also similar to debate. So are you able to argue this using evidence? Can you use evidence here? Yeah, we can find some evidence to prove this. How does this claim demonstrate these characteristics? We talked about that. Next slide, please. All right, so now that we have our claim or our thesis statement, again, I'm going to write thesis here so we don't forget. We have our thesis statement. We need to be thinking about, okay, how do I make more specific claims or more specific topic sentences out of this? How do I break this into a more detailed version of itself? Because I need a topic sentence at the beginning of each body paragraph, right? So I need to be thinking about more specific, specific. Ugly eyes. More specific. All right, I want you to get ready on page 38 of your blue notebook. All right, because we're about to make some changes. So if you're not on page 38, go ahead and pause right here and get there. All right, you're on page 38. Okay, this worksheet, I'm not the biggest fan of this worksheet, I'll be honest with you, because it changes some of the language that we've been using in class to describe parts of the essay, okay? So we're going to change some of that language back for our sake. So get ready. Okay, this very first thing here that says claim. Yes, this is a claim, but it's a thesis statement. I want you to go ahead and write thesis here. I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but thesis, T-H-E-S-I-S. I'm going to try to call this thesis statement more often than not, but know that some people call this a claim, all right? The next thing we're going to do is where this says reason. Like I said before, this is a little confusing. I don't know why. I'm just going to say just someone understands this and I don't. So I can't wrap my head around this after half an hour. You should be okay. Let's go ahead and cross this whole thing out. What this is your first thing in your thesis statement, okay? Your first thing, because you have two things in your thesis statement. We're talking about thing one and thing two. So this is the first thing. First. Okay? First thing. Go ahead and write first thing there. Great. And then where this says explanation, let's cross off explanation here. We're going to call this, of our ASIC paragraph, this is our assertion. This is our assertion. A-S-S-E-R-T-I-O-N. Our assertion. It is a very detailed restatement of one of our thesis points. Okay, and you'll see that here in just a minute. So you can go ahead and copy down my first thing, right? So Buck is able to survive in the wild because he changes the way in which he relates to man. Okay, that's the first thing we're going to talk about. Buck must depend on himself and not other people in order to survive in the wild. This is a good start to an assertion. There's probably not enough detail here yet to be a very detailed assertion, but it's pretty good. I like it. I like this for a couple of reasons. Let me switch to yellow here. Nope, yellow's a bad idea. Let's go red. Okay, so in order to survive in the wild, I have this repeated phrase, able to survive in the wild. You see this? From my thesis statement. So I have this phrasing. It's here in my thesis statement. The phrasing also appears in my assertion. It's a little bit different, which is great. It adds some variety. I don't sound like a robot, like I'm repeating the same thing over and over and over. There's some variety. I like that. And we've also switched up where it is in the sentence. Okay? So it's at the end of the sentence in my assertion. It's at the beginning of the sentence in my thesis statement. So great. This is a great start. Buck must depend on himself and not other people. So the idea of people here versus animals, yep, that's the first thing we're talking about, man. The second thing we talk about is the animals. That was the second thing in the thesis statement. So I'm on track, right? I'm doing a good thing. I've got my first thing. I've started my assertion. Go ahead and copy this down. Buck must depend on himself and not other people in order to survive the wild. Move on when you're ready. Push pause if you need to. All right. So again, we called this thing, the claim is actually, whoa, let me try again. That was radical. This thing is actually called thesis. Let's put thesis here. Thesis. This is my thesis statement with my thing 1 and my thing 2 and my first reason, or let's call this assertion 1. Everybody write assertion 1. Actually, you can't write it because it's not in your book. Don't worry about it. Just know that I'm writing the word assertion here. Okay, assertion. Okay, once I have an assertion, I have to think like, can I support that idea with evidence from the book? And be honest, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you come up with a great idea, but you're like, I can't find evidence for this. All right, cool. Then you need to just erase it. I'll be honest with you. If you can't find evidence to support it, don't bang your head against the wall for 30 minutes on an essay going, I can't find it. It's like, just stop, erase that one. And you just need to find evidence that answers the prompt and then write an assertion that fits the evidence. It's okay. It's okay. We're learning, right? So next we're going to be on a quest for evidence. So follow along with me here. So again, we have our claim or our thesis. This is not in your book. This is only here on the screen, so you make sure you're following along. We have our thesis here, and we have our assertion here. Assertion 1. We'll just call it A1 because it's faster to write with a mouse. So our thesis and our assertion 1. And here are some choices of evidence. Let's look at the quality of the evidence here. All right, so here's my question to you. We have 3 pieces of evidence here, right? And one of these is the best option when we're trying to support this assertion, okay? This assertion. One of these would be best to use in this body paragraph. And the other 2 are pretty good, but you know, they're lacking a piece of this puzzle here. So let me give you a slight hint before you work on this, okay? Let's look at keywords in the assertion, right? What are the key things I'm trying to prove? Buck must depend on himself. He has to depend on himself and not people. Okay? Whoops, in order to survive in the wild. So I'm trying to prove that Buck does not need people. I'm trying to prove that he's depending on himself, and I'm trying to prove that he can survive. He's got this. He can survive in the wild. All right. Take 2 minutes. Read through these quotes. Okay? Quote 1, quote 2, quote 3. Have a little debate at your table there with your partner, and I want you guys to pause the video, look over this, and decide which one you think is best. So we're going to pause the video and give you 2 minutes to figure it out. All right? Pause it there. All right, cool. You finished that. So let's look. Which one of these best proves that Buck depends on himself, not humans, and that he is surviving? If you said this first quote, you'd be correct. You'd be correct. Yeah, this one really does, because we see a moment where he's very hungry, and he actually changes. We see a change in him where he's very hungry, but he learns to watch. And then when Perot's back was turned, so is Perot helping him? Nope, it's the opposite. He's actually sneaking around behind Perot. So that fits as not people. And is this a survival thing? Yep, he got away with the whole chunk. He got away with a whole bunch of bacon. So he was very successful. He went from very hungry at the beginning of this quote, went behind people's backs, and he got away with a whole bunch of bacon. So this is a great answer. The next one, you know, yes, it shows that he's learning to survive, right? The beast in him roared. He sprang upon spits. And we also see that the people are not involved, right? You're like, man, Buck just learned to turn on spits on his own. Yeah, but this isn't really about survival. This isn't really about him surviving on a daily basis. This is more about him getting power and being in charge. It's not so much about about eating and staying warm at night and that kind of thing. What about this last one? Why isn't this the best? Well, this talks about his early life. No lazy sun-kissed life was this. It goes on to how terrible things were. And true, this one has the no people in it. Like, there aren't people there. It's not mentioning the people. He left his comfortable life where there were a lot of people to feed him and wait on him. I get that. But this doesn't show him depending on himself. This is just talking about how terrible things are out there. It's just talking about how terrible things are. It's not really going with this assertion here. So we do see that this first one is the best. Star! Red star for amazing. Amazing quote. Okay. So we're going to copy that into our notes there. Let's do it. All right. Very good. So we identified the piece of evidence that's best. And we're going to go ahead and copy it into our chart on page 38. Right here. Boom, boom. It's like this box, like third box down on the left. Okay? It says evidence. One piece of evidence that supports my reason. Should be one piece of evidence that supports my assertion. Okay? So this should be assertion. Assertion 1. We copy this. If you can't read this, you probably can't read this right here. You can go back, just rewind a couple seconds on the video and you can see the slide up where that was available at the top. You can copy it down or you can find it in the book. Okay? Explanation. And where this says explanation is actually interpretation. For us, when we, hold on a second, let me cough. The coughs are killing me. I'm sorry. When we write our a-sic paragraph, this explanation is actually our interpretation. Interpretation. I-N-T. I'm just going to write our interpretation. This is how we explain the evidence to our reader. How we explain this is related to our assertion. This is related to our thesis statement. Let me interpret this quote for you. So I'd like you to do that. I gave you some interpretation there, the explanation, right? So I'd like you to go ahead and do that. Write your own interpretation. I'll read this one out loud to you just so you have an idea. By learning to steal, Buck changes his relationship with man by deliberately taking actions that are contrary or against what his master would want or expect from him. However, these actions are important and necessary because they allow Buck to gain more food to nourish his body in the harsh climate. All right, go ahead and fill out your own explanation of that evidence. Pause it here and move on when you're done. Pause it. All right, I'm gonna have you work with a partner on the rest. You ready for this? Yes, you are. All right, so page 38 on the right-hand column. The right-hand column, all this stuff right here. this is going to be based off of what? If I have one body paragraph over here, or the part of the pieces, we're missing another piece of evidence, but that's okay, don't worry about it. But I have thing 1 here. I have, what's my other thing? Thing 2 over here. So first I talked about man. So what's this column going to be about? It's going to be about the animals, right? So now looking at all of this, let's go ahead and fill this in for the animal side of things. How is Buck like changing the way he relates to other animals? Like, how is this relationship changing, okay, to make it better for him to survive? Go ahead and gather your evidence from the text to support the reason or claim. I did this first one with you. You do this one. You got this. Work with your partners, help each other out, and pause the video. Let me know when you're done. Did you answer this question right here? This one? You did? You did, right? Okay, good. You answered it, move on. You didn't answer it, go back. In this lesson, you analyzed characteristics that have enabled Buck to survive and thrive in the wild. You also identified reasons and relevant text evidence to support a model claim. I'm the model. I'm not a supermodel. I'm just an English model. And you looked at it, you were like, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice English, Mr. Fairber. Yes, it is. Y'all, it's late. I'm going to bed. But you need to move on to the next lesson. Thanks, guys.